Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today we're looking at AST SpaceMobile,
Oh, interesting.
ticker symbol ASTS.
Okay.
And they're aiming to deliver cellular broadband right to your phone.
Wow.
But get this, from space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a bold idea. It's got investors excited, others a little bit wary, especially with the stock's, recent ups and downs.
I bet.
Up 10.8% one day, down 15.36% the next.
Oh.
So what's going on?
Yeah, what is driving these swings?
Exactly.
Well, two recent news items I think have really shaken things up.
Okay.
First, AST SpaceMobile restructured some of its debt.
Oh.
They converted about $148.5 million worth into shares.
Okay.
And that resulted in issuing 25.8 million new shares.
Wow.
On the surface, it strengthens the balance sheet,
Right.
but, it also leads to stock dilution, something investors always keep an eye on.
Right. Dilution. So essentially the pie stays the same size, but now it's cut into more slices. Each share is a smaller ownership of the company.
Right.
But what was that second big announcement that really sent investors on that wild ride?
So AST SpaceMobile also announced a convertible note offering. They are aiming to raise a significant sum, $400 million.
Wow.
Potentially even more, with an option for buyers to purchase additional notes.
Okay.
These are convertible senior notes due in 2032.
Convertible notes.
Yes.
Now, for those of us who haven't spent years deciphering Wall Street jargon, could you break that down a little bit?
Sure. So imagine a convertible note as kind of a hybrid between a bond and a stock.
Okay.
Initially, it acts like a loan. It has a fixed interest rate.
Right.
In this case, 4.25%.
Got it.
However, the holder also has the option to convert these notes into AST SpaceMobile shares at a set price, which is specifically $26.99 per share.
Okay.
And that was a 20% premium over the pre-announcement stock price.
So like a bond with a potential bonus, basically.
Exactly.
But doesn't this just kind of add fuel to those dilution concerns we were talking about?
Yeah.
If lots of notes get converted to shares later on, won't that impact the value of the existing shares?
Absolutely. That potential for a large influx of new shares is weighing on investor sentiment.
Right.
And the market reaction reflected this uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
We saw that initial jump of 10.8% when the debt restructuring was announced, but then, bam, 15.36% plunge after the news of the convertible notes hit.
Wow.
Investors are clearly grappling with the implications.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Makes for an exciting time to be following AST SpaceMobile.
It does.
So where's all this money going?
So AST SpaceMobile has allocated $38.7 million of the proceeds towards what they're calling capped call transactions.
Capped call transactions.
Yes.
That sounds like something worth exploring. Can you break down how these transactions work and why AST SpaceMobile might be using this particular strategy? What does it signal to investors about their overall financial approach and risk tolerance?
Sure. So a capped call transaction, it allows AST SpaceMobile to generate income by selling call options on their own stock.
Okay.
But it also limits their potential profit if the stock price goes way up.
Interesting.
So it suggests that they are...
So they're bullish, but also trying to mitigate risk.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But before we kind of dive deeper into these financial maneuvers,
Sure.
let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture, beyond the stock fluctuations.
Right.
What is AST SpaceMobile actually trying to accomplish?
Right.
Like, what's the core mission that's driving all of this?
At its heart, AST SpaceMobile is tackling a massive challenge, bridging the digital divide. They are aiming to provide cellular service to areas of the world that are currently underserved or completely unconnected.
Wow.
Think remote villages, disaster zones,
Oh, okay.
even ships at sea,
Interesting.
all potentially having access to high-speed internet.
Right.
The potential impact is enormous.
It's a bold vision.
It is.
Connecting the unconnected.
Yeah.
But this isn't just about philanthropy, right?
Right.
There's a pretty substantial business opportunity here as well.
Absolutely. There's a massive untapped market for mobile connectivity. And AST SpaceMobile is positioning itself to capitalize on that demand.
Yeah.
They're essentially creating a new telecommunications infrastructure, bypassing the need for traditional terrestrial networks.
Right.
It's a disruptive approach that could shake up the entire industry.
Disruptive is an understatement. But as with any disruptive technology,
Right.
there are challenges.
Sure.
What are some of the key hurdles that AST SpaceMobile needs to overcome to kind of make this vision a reality?
So first and foremost, the technology itself.
Yeah.
Space is a challenging environment.
Right.
Satellites need to be reliable. Launches need to go smoothly.
Mhm.
The network needs to be robust enough to handle the demands of millions, potentially billions of users. Any technical setbacks could significantly impact their progress.
Yeah, it's a massive engineering undertaking.
It is.
And on top of that, they have to navigate the complex worlds of regulations, too.
Right. Securing approvals from governments and regulatory bodies around the world is a critical piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And it can be a lengthy and complicated process. There's always the risk of unforeseen delays or changes in regulations that could throw a wrench in their plans.
So regulatory hurdles,
Yeah.
technological challenges,
Yeah.
and of course, we can't forget about the competition.
Right.
You know, they're not alone in this race to connect the world from space.
Definitely not. Companies like SpaceX's Starlink are also vying for a piece of this market.
Right.
And they come with their own strengths and resources.
Yeah.
But I think what sets AST SpaceMobile apart is their direct-to-phone approach.
Oh, interesting.
They aim to provide service directly to existing mobile devices without requiring specialized equipment.
Wow.
That's a significant advantage in terms of accessibility and market reach.
It's a fascinating differentiator.
Yeah.
No need for a separate Starlink dish.
Right.
Just your regular mobile phone connecting to a satellite.
Exactly.
But I imagine that also presents its own unique set of challenges.
It does.
Transmitting signals directly to millions of phones scattered across the globe.
Yes.
That's got to be incredibly complex.
It certainly is. The technology involved is incredibly sophisticated.
Yeah.
They're essentially creating a giant cellular network in space.
Right.
But if they can pull it off, the implications are huge.
Yeah.
It could revolutionize how we communicate and access information.
It's almost like science fiction becoming reality.
Right.
But even with groundbreaking technology and this, like, compelling vision, success is far from guaranteed, right?
Right.
So what are some of the key indicators investors should be watching to kind of gauge AST SpaceMobile's progress?
I think first and foremost, their technological milestones.
Okay.
Are they hitting their targets for satellite launches and network development? Are they demonstrating that the technology works as promised?
That's the foundation of everything else.
Proof of concept is key.
Yes.
Investors want to see tangible evidence
Exactly.
that this ambitious plan can actually work.
Then there are the partnerships.
Okay.
Strategic alliances with mobile network operators are crucial for AST's SpaceMobile success. They need to integrate their technology into existing networks and collaborate with established players to reach a wider audience.
It's about building that ecosystem, forging those connections with companies that already have millions of customers.
And of course, investors will be watching their financial performance closely.
Right. Makes sense.
Are they managing their expenses effectively? What's their cash burn rate?
Right.
These are all crucial indicators of a company's health and sustainability.
It's all about finding that balance between investing for future growth and managing their current resources wisely.
And lastly, I think don't underestimate the importance of management.
Okay.
Does AST SpaceMobile have a strong and experienced leadership team with a clear vision and the ability to execute on their ambitious plans?
Right.
That's often an intangible factor,
Yeah.
but it can make all the difference.
It's the human element, the
Yes.
people behind the technology.
Investing in a company like AST SpaceMobile is a bet on their ability to navigate these challenges and ultimately deliver on their promise.
And with that promise comes a certain level of risk.
Of course.
We've talked about the stock's volatility,
Right,
the technological and regulatory hurdles.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the overall risk profile of AST SpaceMobile as an investment?
So AST SpaceMobile is undoubtedly a high-risk, high-reward proposition.
Okay.
They're operating in a nascent industry with a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
The technology is complex, the competitive landscape is fierce,
Uh-huh.
and the regulatory environment is always evolving.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. But for investors with a higher risk tolerance and a belief in the company's long-term vision, AST SpaceMobile could represent an exciting opportunity.
It's about understanding the risks. Yeah.
Doing your research and deciding if the potential rewards align with your investment goals and personal risk appetite.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Well said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, speaking of risks and rewards,
Okay.
let's circle back to those dramatic stock price swings
Sure.
we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
What's your take on those wild fluctuations?
I
I mean, is this just a case of like an overreactive market, or are there deeper factors at play?
I think it's a few things.
Okay.
You know, AST SpaceMobile, it's a young company, and they're operating in a really rapidly evolving industry.
Right.
So any news, whether it's positive or negative, it
Yeah.
can trigger significant price movements.
Okay.
Their float is relatively small, meaning fewer shares are available for trading,
Right.
which amplifies these swings.
So the smaller the boat, the more it gets tossed around in choppy seas.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Right.
But, beyond just the market dynamics.
Yeah.
There's also the inherent risk associated with AST SpaceMobile's business model.
Right.
Precisely. I mean, they're a pre-revenue company.
Okay.
So they haven't actually generated substantial income from their operations yet.
Right.
This uncertainty can lead to heightened volatility as investors react to any news that might impact the company's long-term prospects.
It's a lot for investors to weigh, so let's shift gears and talk about the future.
Okay.
What are some potential scenarios that could unfold for AST SpaceMobile?
In a best-case scenario, everything goes according to plan.
Okay.
The technology works flawlessly. They secure all the necessary regulatory approvals.
Right.
They form strong partnerships with mobile network operators worldwide.
Gotcha.
AST SpaceMobile becomes a major player in this space-based cellular broadband market. They connect billions of people who currently lack reliable internet access.
Wow.
The positive impact on global communication and development, I mean, it would be immense.
That's an inspiring vision.
It is.
But we also have to consider the potential roadblocks.
What are some of the challenges that could derail AST SpaceMobile's plans?
Well, technological setbacks are a major concern.
Okay.
Space is unforgiving,
Right.
They could encounter satellite failures, launch delays, or difficulties scaling their network.
Right.
Then there's also the complex regulatory landscape, approvals from multiple countries. That can be a lengthy and unpredictable process.
For sure.
Even seemingly minor changes in regulations could have a significant impact.
And let's not forget the competition.
Right.
AST SpaceMobile is up against some really well-funded and experienced players.
Absolutely. Companies like SpaceX's Starlink, they're formidable competitors.
Yeah.
AST SpaceMobile needs to continue to innovate
Right.
and demonstrate its unique value proposition to stand out in the market.
So it's a race against time,
It is.
a battle for market share,
Yeah.
and a constant push for technological advancement.
High stakes all around.
Yeah, high stakes all around.
Indeed. And the stock's volatility reflects those stakes.
We've covered a lot of ground today,
Well,
from debt restructuring and convertible notes
Yeah.
to space-based cellular networks and the competitive landscape.
right.
But the big question for our listeners is, what does all this mean for me as an investor? Should I buy, sell, or hold ASTS stock?
Right.
Now, we can't offer financial advice,
Of course.
but what are some key questions that investors should be considering?
I think the most important question is, what's my risk tolerance?
Okay.
AST SpaceMobile is a high-risk, high-reward investment. If you're comfortable with the potential for significant fluctuations in your portfolio and you believe in the company's long-term vision,
Right.
then it might be a stock worth considering.
But if someone's more risk-averse, they might want to just watch from the sidelines for now.
I think that's a prudent approach.
Okay.
It's crucial to align your investments with your financial goals
Yeah.
and your risk appetite.
Right.
AST SpaceMobile is a fascinating company with a bold mission, but it's essential to understand both the potential rewards and the inherent risks before making any investment decisions.
Well said. It's all about informed decision-making.
Exactly.
This has been a deep dive into AST SpaceMobile here on Investing Talk Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We encourage everyone to do their own research, consult with a financial advisor if needed,
Great advice.
and make investment choices that are right for you.
Yes.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, share this episode, and leave a comment with your thoughts on AST SpaceMobile.
I look forward to reading them.
We appreciate you joining us. Until next time, happy investing.